The first Freedom Planet was this quaint little platformer that started off as a Sonic fan game, but soon grew into its own original IP. It controlled well, played well, had a very entertaining story, and had absolutely kick-ass music. The game came out way back in 2014, and the sequel was highly anticipated. So, after years and years and years of waiting, Freedom Planet 2 is finally upon us. And it takes everything that was great about the first game and expands upon it. The levels are better designed, the visuals are on a whole nother level, and the story is an exciting ride from start to finish. This is Freedom Planet 2. Freedom Planet 2 controls like a typical 2D platformer. You can move left, right, up, down, jump, and attack. Each character also has their own unique moves and abilities that I will get into later. The controls are extremely smooth and intuitive. What helps this is the ability to customize your binding to suit whatever you find most comfortable. Seeing as this franchise was heavily influenced by Sonic the Hedgehog, the characters are certainly faster than your average platforming characters, but not by much. This game does have slopes and loops every now and then, but nothing to the extent of Sonic, but that's not a bad thing because the game brings its own unique spin to things. The scale of this game honestly took me by surprise. The first game was simply a level-to-level adventure. Freedom Planet 2, however, features a world map with hubs and NPCs you can talk to. The game is leaps and bounds larger than the first game, and that makes the adventure you embark on all the more satisfying, as it really does feel like you're traveling the land. The NPCs even comment on your actions throughout the game. Every time you beat a level, the NPCs will have some funny comments to add. The world of Freedom Planet 2 feels alive. The fast-paced, high-intensity combat and level design from the first game is here in full force. The level design in this game is top-notch. Every level has its own enemies and gimmicks that keep the game from getting stale. Some levels are designed to be roller coasters with non-stop heart-pumping action. On the flip side, the game isn't scared to slow down and introduce more puzzle-like elements into the levels. The sheer variety of this game keeps it from getting stale across its surprisingly long runtime. Seriously, this game took me about 8 hours on my first playthrough, which pleasantly surprised me, as platformers usually range on the shorter side for me, because I'm just so good at it. The first Freedom Planet featured combat quite heavily, and it was good there, but felt a little underdeveloped as Lilac's Dragon Rush made short work of most enemies, I felt. The combat in this game has been vastly improved, mainly due to Lilac's combat improvement. For starters, she can now cancel her Dragon Boost. This leaves behind a small explosion that damages enemies. This helps in platforming as well as combat. It serves to make her movement that much more smoother, as now you don't have to wait for the gauge to run out. Another improvement is that her Cyclone no longer drains the gauge, thus meaning you can combo Dragon Rush into Cyclone and vice versa. These changes make for a very versatile combat experience by themselves, but an interesting addition to this game is the dodge mechanic. It works quite similarly to the spot dodge in Smash Bros. You press the dodge button and Lilac or whoever you're playing as will dodge in place. If you continue to hold the button, she will dash forward and damage any enemies in her way. The extra dash forward is Lilac exclusive. The dodge has many special attributes depending on your character. For example, Nira essentially has an install state. If you dodge with full meter, she gets an attack speed buff. This comes more in handy during boss battles more than anything else. The bosses in this game are seriously incredible, but before I talk about the bosses, I want to quickly discuss just how vastly different the playable characters are from each other. Lilac is the most straightforward, with a simple kit that revolves around movement. Carol has a combat-oriented playstyle. Not only that, but she can roll down slopes, wall jump, and ride a motorcycle, which changes her entire moveset. Mila has a more range-oriented kit. She can flutter jump and power up her attacks with a full meter. Nira does a bit of everything: range, melee, and her staff can freeze enemies in place and assist with platforming. Every character is so different from each other that you can't help but try them all. Anyways, back to the bosses. The bosses are all true tests of your skills, and even the more gimmicky fights are fun and engaging. The one complaint I have about the boss is that the fight with Murga isn't as challenging as I expected it to be. The Fountain of Faith was easier than the fight with Aqau in my opinion, but that's not too bad because the fight was still great and the music is kick-ass. There is a true ending to this game that features another boss fight. I haven't unlocked it yet, but from what I heard, the fight was quite challenging, and it even has Lord Brevin in it, so that's something to look forward to. The final fight with Corazon is actually peak. It's one of the best fights I've seen in a 2D platformer. That second phase when you're running down the elevator shaft with the music blasting, oh my god, it is perfection. Now, I do have a few closing thoughts about the gameplay I want to share. I neglected to mention this earlier, but this game does introduce rail grinding. It doesn't really change much besides some of the level design and this one boss that's fought entirely on rails. This is a really cool mechanic that I think more games should use. It's funny though, both this game and Spark 3 introduce rail grinding. I guess great minds or, well, great developers think alike. Actually, now that I think about it, both this game and Spark 3 also have you control a mecha. Huh. That's not a coincidence, don't you think? A new addition to this game are the potions and bravestones. Potions are items you buy in the shop and they give you a plethora of benefits, like more health, faster movement, etc. But they hurt your ranking at the end of the stage. While the bravestones hinder you, but they help improve your ranking. I didn't use any of these throughout my playthrough because I'm just a gamer, but they are there if you need it and or want to challenge yourself. Also yeah, there are rankings in this game, go figure. The story is a fun ride from start to finish, and I think what makes this game's story so entertaining and endearing are the characters and their interactions. The banter between characters always brings a smile to my face, and I really want to put a spotlight on Captain Aqau, who's basically like Captain Cork from the Ratchet & Clank games. In fact, the whole section with him and the Battlesphere feels like it was ripped straight out of Ratchet & Clank Deadlock or the first game. Captain Aqau is absolutely hilarious and steals the show every time he's on screen, and his boss fight's pretty sick too. The voice acting in this game is leagues better than the first game, and there are some pretty stellar voice actors, including everyone's favorite Big Green and Saiyan Prince voice actor, Chris Sabat.
Yeah, I chose the wrong side, I admit it.
This game heavily expands on the lore of Freedom Planet, with tons of optional time capsules, audio logs, and text filings detailing the world of Avalis and its people. It's all very welcome, and thankfully most of it's optional, so if you don't want to read paragraphs upon paragraphs of text files, you don't have to. The villains of this game, just like the first one, are great. Murga is a great antagonist. She's cunning, smart, and actually wins quite a bit throughout the game, although I don't think she leaves quite the impact as Lord Brevin from the first game. He is a tough villain to top though, to be fair. Serpentine returns in this game, and he's so over the top. All in all, Freedom Planet 2 is a more than worthy success to the first game. Everything that the first game did was taken and improved upon in every way possible. This game now stands as one of my favorite 2D platformers, and it's definitely a contender for my game of the year. I urge everyone to play this game. Link to the Steam page will be in the description below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later.